Nyar. Nothing like a little spice in the middle of your training camp with some good old-fashioned NFL fodder to mix in the monotony of games that don't matter. Weeks counting down, 20 days away until kickoff to week one. And what do the Dolphins have up their sleeve? Well, it could be another pursuit of a star running back. Nyar. Just have Chris Greer dial up the old whale phone. Oh, it's might be the sensitive topic for Jim Irsay there. I might have to put her away for a little bit. Yeah. Well, whatever it may be, let's see what the Dolphins have up their sleeve when it comes to this whole pursuit of Jonathan Taylor, which this report coming out, and I really do apologize if that, triggered Jim Irsay. It's just a prop, dude. It's just a prop. I know you were, probably high as a kite watching Free Willy one night, and you're like, I could do that. I could spend $20 million to do that. And I will say, very sad news that Lolita the Orca passed at Miami Seaquarium. Will say, as an aside, a little bit strange that happened like in the midst of all this. They were going to move her. I don't know. I'm not one for conspiracy theories usually, but that one, a little strange. Anyway, not what we're here to discuss today. So, the Dolphins, according to Barry Jackson, the GOAT, the Dolphins are going to explore the possibility of acquiring Jonathan Taylor. I'm sure NFL fans very familiar. This is probably one of the most interesting stories of the offseason that doesn't involve a quarterback. The running back topic has obviously been a hot button issue. They're not getting paid. No team's investing in him. Jonathan Taylor's in the last year of his rookie deal. He's 24 years old. Has just put up incredible numbers, especially the year before last. He was banged up a little bit last year, but everybody's number one fantasy pick last year. Everybody loves Jonathan Taylor. And got dragged into that weirdo's van at practice, said, basically hit the bricks. We're not giving in to your demands. And now all of a sudden he's being willing to go see what the market is. Now, if you remember, this is not the first time this has happened so far this offseason. This has happened with Austin Eckler and the Los Angeles Chargers. They also gave him permission to go seek a deal. So just because he is seeking a deal doesn't mean that he'll find one, because I imagine Jonathan Taylor wants to get paid a hefty salary. He's young. He is, just scratching into the prime of his career. If you gave Jonathan Taylor a 3-year deal, a 4-year deal, the guy would be 28 by the end of it. He would be the age of Dalvin Cook, who a lot of Dolphin fans were fawning over. And I do think that this is interesting from a couple of perspectives. I mean, you have a guy who was coming into this last season. Everybody just can't miss, and you would look at this age that he's at and you're just like, damn, dude, we're talking about all the guys that you could have out there, Dalvin Cook, Saquon Barkley, and now Jonathan Taylor is on the fence, or on the possible move for the Fins. And it's tough not to feel like they're not going to try and get in the game for this, because we know that they made an offer for Dalvin Cook, even if it didn't go through. There were rumblings in New York that the Dolphins made an inquiry about Saquon Barkley. So why wouldn't the Dolphins explore what's going on with Jonathan Taylor? First of all, it's exploring. It's, basically you're doing your job. You're seeing what's going on there. And so why wouldn't the Dolphins go in there? So this is interesting on a couple fronts, because you have a Dolphins team that I think right now the Dolphins fan and the coaching staff, he's given some voice to this, is probably as high on their running game as they have been. I don't think this is going to be a move where they're going to pull desperation compensation for the Colts to do it. I don't really even know what the Colts expect to get for Jonathan Taylor. Everybody knows he's disgruntled. Everybody knows they don't plan to invest in him long term. They're talking about getting a first-round pick. I don't know. I mean, even Christian McCaffrey didn't go for a second-round pick. You could go age, fewer injuries, as to maybe somebody willing to push that table. Although it was funny, Chris Greer did mention at this year's post-draft press conference that they were going to try and give Mike McDaniel a first-round pick, give him as a head coach a first-round pick. He has yet to have that. But it is interesting that the Dolphins, for as much as they say they love their running back room, and I do believe that they do like their running back room, and Mike McDaniel obviously has a close relationship with Mostert, has a close relationship with Jeff Wilson. Everybody's been pleased with Devon Achane, but now he is banged up. If you didn't see the news, he's week to week. So the young rookie may not be ready to go for the season. Maybe he will. We don't know. But Jonathan Taylor, I mean, like, come on, dude. You're talking about the age that he's at. Like, we've been talking about this camp, but people talking about, oh, Noah's only such and such age. Austin Jackson's only such and such age. And those guys don't even have near the resume this guy does. So it is an interesting one. So what does Barry Jackson write? Here's what he says. Indianapolis Colts running back Jonathan Taylor has been given permission to seek a trade, and the Dolphins are expected to at least explore it for the NFL's 2021 rushing leader. But the Colts are seeking a high price in return. A first-round draft pick or multiple draft picks would be equivalent to a first-round pick. And it's unclear if the Dolphins would be willing to meet that demand. Taylor has been seeking a contract extension for several weeks. His rookie deal expires after the season. The Colts declined to give him a new deal initially and rebuffed at his trade request before relenting on Monday. And yeah, there was that whole Irsay quote before he was going all Free Willy on us where he's like, I'm going to die and you're going to die and the NFL is going to go on. Seems like a real peach to work for, that Jim Irsay, I got to say. Barry also writes the Dolphins hold Taylor in high regard because of his age and elite production. Dolphins generally don't like to pay big money to running backs, but could make an exception for Taylor because he doesn't have a lot of tread on the tires because of his elite production. So there you go. The other thing that's interesting on this is his agent, Malky Kawa, first round management, Miami guy, manages a good handful of players, and that management group has managed a whole heap of players. They also have managed a lot of high profile MMA guys. So they, and those guys are, when I say they're Miami guys, they're Miami guys. Like they're Miami they're Miami. The Kyle brothers are huge Miami Hurricanes fans. And I guess for the NFL side, you would kind of call them like Rosenhaus light, like they're not, I think they don't have the established NFL name that the Rosenhaus brothers do, but they're on the up and up. Like that's, they're I think they're on the rise with some higher profile clients as their years go on. But they've represented in the fight game, like John Jones, Tyron Woodley, Jorge Masvidal. They've in the fight game have represented the highest of the high. Frank Gore was, I believe, the guy. I think it was Malky Kawa's first client. So they've been in the NFL game too. But this is probably I would say I'm going off that, but I think this is probably their high. They also represent, or they did at least when he got drafted. They also represent Noah Benogany as well. So there is there's a connection there. There's a local connection there. And I think that they probably, and I'm sure Malky probably looks at the same way, what the Dolphins have been looking for is they've at least sniffed around on every star running back that's been on the block, So it's this double-edged sword because you're looking at this from a perspective of, hey, no one is doing this anymore where they're giving high money to running backs. You also have the idea of you got to pay, at some point you would hope Christian Wilkins. This would seem like this would be another kind of like, oh, we're going to go get another guy. You would assume they're going to pay him. And I would think that Christian Wilkins is going to look at that and be like, really? If he's not involved in, if there's not some kind of trade that goes on there. But you really look at the idea of like what is valued in this league right now, running back or defensive tackle. And you could just look at the franchise tag. What is the franchise tag for defensive tackle? Is it double what running backs are right now? I think it's probably like 20 plus million. And then what is Saquon playing for? 11. So you could just see where the trend of the league is. Now, is Christian Wilkins as good at being a defensive tackle as Jonathan Taylor is at being a running back? I mean, is Christian Wilkins the best defensive tackle in the league? Probably not. He's getting into the elite threshold. He's kind of getting on everybody's radar. I don't think he's quite the national household name yet, especially because of, he doesn't have like the sack numbers of the other elite guys. Jonathan Taylor, who are you arguing is with him? Very few. Very few. A handful of guys, maybe. But there's no question that he's one of the best. And I would venture to guess he's also younger than Christian Wilkins as well. What's Christian at? Christian's 27 years old. So there's that element. But defensive tackles, that timeline is, Christian's going to play probably, if he wanted to, another 6-7 years. And Jonathan Taylor, maybe by the end of this next contract, is going to be cooked. Who knows? But it is going to be. But the other part of this is going to be, well, where do the Dolphins feel their running game is at? Like, do they think they're going to go at this thing with Mostert and Wilson and the production that they put forth last year in yards per carry, and now you seemingly have this system down a little bit better? I mean, like the way that they ran, I know it's just preseason, but in a lot of ways, like you're just going, kind of mano a mano. There's no gimmicks. There's no tricks in preseason. So, I do think that even if it was preseason, I think what the Dolphins did in their second preseason game was pretty impressive. And I think Mike McDaniel was pretty pleased with it too. Something tells me that if this was the offseason, true to like them inquiring about Dalvin Cook, if this was the offseason, I think the Dolphins would be more inclined to go after this. I think the fact that the Dolphins are in training camp, they're getting ready for their dress rehearsal, and I think Mike McDaniel has put a value on comfort and where they've been. I would be pretty stunned if they went and did it. I really would. I think that, and I say this as a guy who loves stars. I believe in love stars. I love whales. Jim Irsay, he loves to go transporting whales. Chris Greer, he loves to go reel them in and sharpen the harpoons. But I think even this one, the Dolphins would probably look at it and be like, man, Dalvin Cook, we probably could have gotten on, we would have thought we could have gotten him on the relative cheap skis. I don't think that he has illusions of getting this monster contract, or at least we could have got him in. If you bring in Jonathan Taylor and you trade draft compensation for him, what are you paying that? Are you paying him $15 million a year? Are you paying him, crazy money? Who is the highest paid running back right now? Is it McCaffrey? Highest paid running backs right now. Christian McCaffrey right now is the highest paid at $16 million. Alvin Kamara at $15 million. Derrick Henry at $12.5. Nick Chubb at $12.2. I mean, are you paying him? You are paying him that if you're bringing him in and you're gonna trade for him. And I would imagine that, yeah, his agency is gonna look at him and they're gonna say, yeah, we want at least Alvin Kamara money. And I just, nobody's doing that these days, right? Like the 49ers went and did it with McCaffrey in a situation they felt like, because it's so important to them. I just think I think McDaniel, because he's got the tie-in so close with Mostert and the tie-in with Jeff Wilson, and they've liked what they've gotten from A-Chain, and hell, how could you not been happy with what they got from Savon Ahmed? I don't know if any of these guys amount to what Jonathan Taylor can be at his age in this system. Will they ever sniff what he did? I don't know. But would the Dolphins take that kind of a home run cut after being this established with everything and being this comfortable with everything is? Look, I would be surprised. Would I be against it? You guys know me. I would be doing whale calls as soon as the trade, if it went through. I'd be so happy. But I just think that they've kind of shown their hand on that, right? They've shown their hand on, they didn't pull the trigger to trade for Dalvin Cook. They had a budget when it came to Dalvin Cook. Yes, Jonathan Taylor is younger, but is also going to be asking for significantly more money. On top of the fact that let's just say you have to give up 2 second-round picks for it. It's a lot. It's a lot for a position I think they're probably as pleased with as any other in camp right now, right? Like if you were to look around the Dolphins right now, you'd probably go quarterback, wide receiver, is running back third on the list of things that they're pretty pleased with and how they've been playing right now. So I just don't know if the Dolphins are going to pony up for that right now. But, that may be all the game that Irsay's trying to do here is just show like, hey, Jonathan Taylor, no one wants to pony up for you. And then, you have a real conundrum on your hand in Indianapolis.